honestly, most of the time.
So like, look, he changed to be very different. Look. And there he is there. Like, that's weird.
The ones that made you question why you even watch the show. But before we get into things, if you
he is all over the place.
Put on television. The ones that made you question why you even watch.
Oh, okay. I'm calling it. His avatar is AI. This is a different art style from the previous two. Like, how many artists are you hiring to redo your profile picture slightly?
Because Peter apologizes, God decides to spare him and tells him he finally understands the point. And that point being...
It's not about being good or bad. It's just blind subservience to an imaginary being.
Yeah, that's what Family Guy had God say. And let's just say...
Are you actually going to put this face to that? If you are indignant to that being a problem in the world, you are willingly sticking your head in the sand. You can believe that the being is not imaginary or this or that, but like the blind subservience to just someone telling you something is true, you cannot act like that's not a problem. Don't give me this AI generated face, Alex Griffin. Alex Griffin has been requested on the channel every so often. They seem a bit like Family Guy SpongeTruths. Like, we see kind of the comparison. I think from first glance, I haven't watched any of their videos yet. The thumbnails are AI. Like, look at it. Look at it. This is like the main one that, like, this is the first one that stood out to me that was AI. I know that there are obviously other ones that are, you know, even that like overly realistic or this or that, you know, like look at the Peter. Look at it getting Peter wrong. The thing that I looked at too with Alex Griffin is I wanted to see, like, is there any semblance of a real person behind this, or any, like, obviously there's a real person behind every channel, but like there's no like contact, there's no in like the posts, you know, I don't see anything that indicates to me that this is a real person. I'll check a description, you know, or that indicates to me any way of like getting in contact with this person or whoever they are. It's Alex Griffin person. As always, if Alex Griffin or someone from Alex Griffin's team sees this stream and is like, I want to defend myself, I'm always open to talking with anyone from the channels that I criticize. I just don't see any sort of contact for Alex Griffin here, so that's about it. Okay, so I want to talk about this whole why you're probably even here, which is the whole, is this channel AI? Ooh, look at this AI channel. And that's always like, that's always how these things start. That's why I even like got the comment, why I even know that this channel exists is I had a chatter or a commenter or something like that where they said, can you look at Alex Griffin? I think they're AI. That's how I know about this channel. That's how I know about most of the channels that I cover now. That's what we're all drawn to, right? This whole like, is this thing AI? And I've been thinking about this comparison a lot, where it's a lot like the end of a Scooby-Doo, where the end of a Scooby-Doo is they pull the mask off of the dude, you know, like the lighthouse keeper or whatever, and they reveal that the monster was like a guy. And it's all about like that, revealing that lie, the trickery. The main point of my streams is to talk about the social consequences of bad content being widespread, of videos that aren't very good or videos that are shallow getting, you know, 140,000 views, 178,000 views. This channel doesn't do amazing. It doesn't seem like it. What are their most popular? 3.5 million views. She went too far. Every family. Okay, so they've gotten a couple that were over 1 million. So like they're definitely like no joke. On average, if you look more like latest, it's like, what do we got? 22K views 5 days ago. It's not horrible. These are like I'd say if YouTube is your job, views like this at this frequency, you'd be able to make a living off of it. If you were one person, if you're paying editors and all that sort of stuff, or paying a voice actor, we'll see what the voices sound like, or, you know, if you're paying people, then probably not. That would be some trouble, you know. 8.4K views, the Stewie spinoff is one massive problem. 7.4K, you know, but then 51, 66, 85. Oh, look, how many years in prison does Peter Griffin deserve? Look, we got a No Villains Are Safe video. No Villains Are Safe ripoff. That's funny. People watch this stuff. Like, this is something that people will spend their time watching. And when someone watches this, they are not watching something else that could maybe expand their mind, that could maybe expand their media literacy. And we'll see. I haven't watched any of their videos yet. I'm just saying this at first glance, that these are videos that, you know, promote media illiteracy, videos that are, you know, shallow and hollow and all that sort of stuff. Like, I'm just saying that at first glance. Maybe I'll watch them and they're the best videos ever, and they just are misguided and use AI in their thumbnails because I don't know. I'm sure that's not the case. From the subject of the videos, like, we could kind of tell what this is. Lois is secretly worse than Peter, taking the show too seriously. It's showing episodes of the show where Lois does something bad and saying, "Ooh, she's evil." And that's it. And maybe not. Like, maybe it actually talks about the story. Maybe it actually talks about character morality and all this sort of stuff. I don't know. We'll have to see. You know, Peter Griffin cost his family millions. Like, videos like this are just like, look, we already can see it. It's got the number up top. Oh, he cost his family $800,000 because of the Peter copter breaking or whatever nonsense that it's taking too seriously. You know, we know what this is. We know it's not going to be any good, but I guess we have to actually look at it to see what's going on. Every time Family Guy went too far with the swastikas, man. Like, what is this? I'm gonna have to talk. I'm gonna have to do a whole like dedicated stream to like shocking thumbnails. I guess they're doing that too. I guess that's their most popular, huh? That's their 3.5 million views from this image. This image made this channel thousands of dollars. So, like, you know, can't say it doesn't work.
Yeah, you heard that right. A father trying to legally marry his teenage son so he can get his hands on some...
There's a lot of different poses for the guy. Just saying. Oh, that looks like an AI image. The Peter right here. I could analyze all these little different poses he has, see if there's...
Yeah, you heard that right.
You know, like...
A father trying to legally...
Like, I could overanalyze all these different poses and try to see if there's inconsistencies and whatever. It just doesn't matter. I'm just focusing on what the content is and if it's, like, bad for you. You know what I mean? Like, we already know why if this image, you know, if the guy is AI, we already know why that's bad. We know how that harms human intent and all that sort of stuff. Like, we've established this. I want to focus on the content as a whole and what it means that videos like this get a decent amount of views. This one's under 10K views. So I don't want to spend too much time on this one. I want to watch one of their more popular ones.
And honestly, most of the time...
So, like, look, he changed to be very different. Look. And there he is there. Like, that's weird. You can't really prove AI. That's kind of the issue is you can in certain niche spots, you know. At the end of the day, what we have with these AI channels, and why I still feel comfortable calling them AI channels, is we have very specific tells, and from there we just kind of defer to the court of public opinion, you know? And it's always allegedly, it's always like, oh yeah, they might use AI this, you know, but we do have the tells and we have the moments. And then from there, I think we can have the important discussion, which is, why does this matter? And basically what I'd say about this avatar, both of them, the different art styles, is that, I mean, he's just kind of generic looking. You know, he's a generic looking dude. The art style here. And if you're getting to the point where you're questioning if it is or is not AI, I think you're already kind of running into an issue with what your profile picture is. If you're even having that conversation, you know, my little guy, you would never really ask that question about. Whereas with this, like, we don't even know. And now he's like changing guys.
We're pregnant.
Wait, wasn't he talking about it? This episode, singular, almost killed Family Guy. Why are you talking about this weird episode? I thought you were talking about the one where Peter wanted to marry his son.
Today we're going through the absolute worst episodes Family Guy has
Episodes, plural. This episode almost killed Family Guy. That's got to be intentional, right? These, like, Is it these episodes almost killed Family Guy? Like, is that just gonna do worse in the algorithm? Does it have to be singular? And it's always multiple episodes. Like, so many of these I get covering multiple episodes. Sometimes when you do a video that covers, but in 15 minutes, I guess you could cover multiple episodes in 15 minutes. I don't know. Usually I do, like, I just did a Family Guy video and I covered the 3 viewer mail episodes. So that was 3 episodes that I covered. You will notice that they tend to cover a lot of episodes in one video. You don't see often. I think I've only seen SpongeTruths do it. I've seen SpongeTruths do videos that were 1 episode and the whole video was 1 episode. I think so far I've only seen SpongeTruths do that.
The ones that made you question why you even watch the show. But before we get into things, if you
Oh, he is all over the
put
place.
on television, the ones that made you question why you even watch.
Oh, okay. I'm calling it. His avatar is AI. He's generating different poses. Like this is a different art style from the previous 2. Like, how many artists are you hiring to redo your profile picture slightly? It's not like these are drastic art style changes or anything. Like, let's say this was the first artist for it, and then he got a new one to make him look
Worst episodes Family Guy has ever put on television. The ones that made you question.
like they all look like trash anyway. Like, what was the update? He hires a different artist for every pose. Yeah, that's his gimmick.
We've got a lot more coming. Seahorse Seashell Party. Let's kick things off with an episode that had the perfect setup.
And just the over editing. You know, we're seeing the patterns, the over editing for iPad kids. It's so dull.
Meanwhile, Brian finds some mushrooms and decides it's the perfect time to trip. Because sure, why not do psychedelics during a natural disaster?
Yeah. Wait, what? Yeah, sure. What are you talking about? That makes perfect sense. Why are you criticizing the part of the episode that makes sense? See, this is another problem. Like, getting mad at the show. This is the thing. The thing with No Villains Are Safe, where it was like, Peter is so irresponsible. Like, yeah, that's like you're mad at that as the premise of the episode, that Brian does mushrooms while there's a hurricane going on. Like, yeah, I guess that wouldn't be like the best idea if like in real life, because like I guess if there's like a big storm, like if you have like a bad trip or something, like I mean, like mushrooms aren't really very dangerous. I mean, not medical advice, but like but it's probably not a good idea to like do very strong drugs when like there's a strong, like a hurricane, because you wouldn't like be able to like, I don't know, if you needed like medical attention or something, or you're just trapped. It's probably not a good idea. Like, I get the sentiment that's like not a great idea. At the same time, like, like it's not like the end of the world or anything. Like, it's not like that. It's not that irresponsible. Like, it's a little irresponsible, sure. Like, I probably wouldn't recommend that if someone said like, oh, I'm planning on doing this during a hurricane. I'd probably say it wasn't the best idea. But like, also like, if someone told me that they did do that, I wouldn't be like, oh, that's so irresponsible. I'd be like, how was it? But this is just like channels like this, just finding something to criticize, finding something to say, oh, Brian did mushrooms in a hurricane. Isn't that dumb? And it's like, well, like, that's the point of the episode, is he trips and it's not a great episode. Like, but talk about how it wasn't executed well. Like, say, oh, like if I was to criticize this moment, I wouldn't say, oh, Brian does mushrooms during a hurricane. Isn't that silly? I would have said, yeah, so like they have this plot where Brian does mushrooms, and I feel like they use it to just do a bunch of like crazy trip visuals, and they don't really deeply dive into the character. It's a typical show thing where it's like, ooh, we're going to have a character get high because that's what we're doing. Like that would be my criticism of it. Not that it was irresponsible. Like, what? That's not a criticism. Of course he's irresponsible. He's an alcoholic dog. That's why it's funny. Just stealing why is this relevant? Why are you stealing their animation?
But here's where
they're bold with the footage. They're bold with that. That was a long amount of the footage.
She calls out Peter for being an abusive father. She calls out Lois for being a terrible mother who...
The lists, just lists. Why do you have a computer in this one?
The Griffins go out and replace Brian with a new dog. Some Italian stereotype named Vin.
Why is it that Life of Brian is considered like one of the worst Family Guy episodes, like as an episode? Like, I'm not even really criticizing. This doesn't have anything to do with Alex Griffin. Like, I'm sure it's just, hey, AI, write me a script that is the worst Family Guy episodes, and it put Life of Brian on there. I'm more so questioning, like, why does Life of Brian end up on people's lists? Like, it's like one of the worst episodes. If anything, like, the episode itself, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like a good episode. It doesn't have the same parts of it that are egregious as other episodes, especially if you look at it. Like, you can only say that Life of Brian is a bad episode. I mean, I guess there are things that you could say about it that would make it a bad episode, regardless. Like, maybe it's like not funny or the story's not good or whatever. I haven't watched it in a while. I mean, it's like season 12, right? Like, I'm sure it's not amazing. Why is Life of Brian considered like one of the worst episodes? Wouldn't the 1-2 episodes later where Brian comes back, like, because that's actually the episode that people hate. I think what's funny about Life of Brian being considered a hated Family Guy episode is that that's not actually the thing that people hate. The thing that people hate is that they killed off Brian for a ratings bump and then they brought him back 2 episodes later. That's what people don't like. But that's not an episode. So you can't be like, I hate this concept. You have to like they take the ire against that business decision and they put it like as a critique against the episode itself. And I think that's just a very unobjective way of looking at media, to like say that it's the episode's fault. Like, you kind of have to stretch like why the episode is bad.
Bro, you just killed off a character we've loved for over a decade, and within 10 minutes of screen time, you're already shoving his replacement down our throats?
That's not a very good criticism. That's the point of the episode, right? Isn't that the conflict? Like, isn't that the whole point? Is that Stewie is having trouble moving on? Also, Brian was a dog. That happens all the time in the real world, like where people will like lose a dog and they'll get another one like really soon after. On the level of the herpes episode and the Stewie is pregnant episode, like these are not comparable in terms of like making it a bad episode. You might not like the idea of it, you know, you might not like the way that it's handled, but that doesn't really bode on the episode itself.
The show cuts to a full, unedited Conway Twitty performance. No joke, no...
Wait, this isn't an episode. This is the episode that the Conway Twitty bit was in a bad episode? This episode almost killed Family Guy. You're talking about Conway Twitty cutaway. This particular video of theirs isn't one of their more popular ones, so it's fine. That just kind of gives us an idea of what it is. Okay, let's go to popular. Let's find a popular recent one. So this is 8 months ago, 10 months ago. All right, so we will notice that of their popular videos, they're all a while ago. See how it's like 1 year ago, 8 months ago, 10 months ago, 1 year ago, 6 months ago, brands that were humiliated by Family Guy, 1 million views. That was their most recent, over 1 million views, brands that were humiliated by Family Guy. It's a weird, I wonder why that is. Family Guy versus every religion. That one could be fun. Do I want to just do their most popular? I mean, it's a year ago. I guess we'll see the white times Peter should have divorced Lois Griffin. I mean, it's their most popular one. I mean, the reason it has 3.5 million views is because of the thumbnail. It's because the thumbnail is... I don't want to get into it. Draw your own conclusions. Every character Family Guy killed and never brought back, dead. Look at how disrespectful this is. Dead over the Adam West. You know, Adam West was an actual person who did die. I hate when they do that, man. These channels, they're shameless. We'll do brands that were humiliated by Family Guy. 6 months ago, 1 million views. Their most recent video that did really well. So this will be a good one. Brands that were humiliated by Family Guy. All right. View products. I'm sorry. Oh, they're just like Family Guy shirts. I don't want a mystery discount. Get out of here. Oh, look, he pins himself. He pins comments on himself. Disney buying the show after getting roasted by it for years is the funniest possible outcome. FG roasting athletes, they get pissed. And he links to another one of his videos. Is that a strategy? Look at this like retention maxing strategy here. He pinned a top comment of himself, Disney buying the show after getting roasted by it for years. And then he responded to his pinned comment with Family Guy roasting athletes, they get pissed. What strategy is that? It's just some tech bro, like, here's how you maximize your viewership. Pin a comment and then reply to that comment with the, it's always tricks with these people. You know, like here's how you succeed on YouTube. Make good videos. That's how you do well. All right. Have something to say. Be interesting. All right. It's not about doing this stuff. It's not about pinning your own comment and then linking to a video and doing weird edits that get iPad kids and all this stuff. Like, it's just not, these kinds of people do not belong on YouTube. They don't provide value. They provide negative value. They make things worse. Brands that were humiliated by Family Guy. Okay, so like, what would be a good version of this video? You know, like, let's try to think. Let's try to be open-minded. What would be a good version of this video? Brands that were humiliated by Family Guy. I'm sure this video is going to be recapping jokes that make fun of certain corporations. But could there be a good version of that? I mean, I guess it would be like a political video, right? Like, I guess it would be like a capitalism thing, like discussing how brands are viewed in shows. Like, you know what would be a great video? The cultural impact of certain brands to the point where they're referenced in Family Guy. Like, okay, like, Family Guy is talking about Netflix, you know, like, because Family Guy's been around since 1999. So, you know, like, Netflix came around, I don't know what year Netflix came around, but like whatever year Netflix first came around, probably took a couple of years for Family Guy to first reference it. And like, you could talk about the impact of that.
Some brands didn't like that at all. One of them yanked Family Guy off their platforms. Another one...
Oh, okay. So it says one of them yanked Family Guy off their platforms over the joke.
Even got so provoked, they bought the studio behind the show just so they could decide which jokes get aired or not.
That is complete misinformation. Are you kidding me? What is that claim? Are you serious? You did not just say that. You did not just say that Disney bought Fox to censor Family Guy making fun of Disney. No, I think they bought Fox because they're a media company and we don't have very strong antitrust laws in America. So big media companies buy other big media companies. And they just happened to buy one that had a TV show that made fun of Disney a couple of times. Wow. I can't believe that it actually claimed that.
Starting with the car brand, Porsche. In the episode Dating Games, Stewie realizes he's had back pain and has to go to
starting with the car brand. So, okay.
Dr. Hartman. This is where the sad news comes that he's suffering from scoliosis. The only thing to help the poor chap is for him to wear a brace. You know, the way you see someone with a hand cast and people queue up wanting to sign it? That was the same kind of favorite treatment Stewie got for his brace when he showed up at preschool.
Such a trooper. I thought maybe...
What does this have to do with the... Okay.
You could be the first in line for snack today.
Really?
All that extra attention was just a teeny bit suspicious.
And the unrelated clip, and then the, like, just shameless. Just shameless.
And Stewie could only think of one thing to compare it to.
Well, I say, that was a pleasant surprise. You know, like when a woman in a Porsche Cayenne isn't a complete bitch.
Makes this roast even better is the fact that everyone on Reddit seemed to agree that it...
Everyone on Reddit. That's pretty accurate. 12 upvotes. Awesome joke. 4 upvotes. Deleted user. So true. 2 upvotes. Let's hear this again.
What makes this roast even better is the fact that everyone on Reddit seemed to
Everyone on Reddit.
agree that it's completely accurate. But
That it's completely accurate. Dude, you could say that about any joke. If you put like a Family Guy, like if you put like a screenshot of like any Family Guy joke, it's gonna say that. And also, yeah, it's showing YouTube comments when it says everyone on Reddit. Yeah.
to fire shots at target.
All right. Enough with this one. Let's see. There's a bit of a variety here. Let's do Family Guy versus every religion.
This is how Family Guy believes God created the world. Religion is one thing that
I don't think that's how Family Guy actually thinks that God created the world. I think that was a joke. Okay, so let me see what my issue here already is. Okay, Family Guy versus every religion. Okay, so let's do what we did with the other one. What is a good version of this video? You know, there is a right answer. Like, you can, in fact, I think that you could do a very good video about how Family Guy approaches like the subject of religion, like the commentary on it, how that affects people, you know, how it reflects people's general beliefs and feelings on religion, times where the jokes were, you know, fair, times where jokes could have been like too far, jokes could have been inaccurate, certain things like that. Like, I don't know. I think starting off, like the problem with the way that it starts off.
this is how Family Guy believes God created the world.
Already, this is recapping. Like, it's starting off with, here's recapping a joke. Like, that joke doesn't really, like, you could kind of analyze that joke and be like, okay, like, in Family Guy, it has kind of this view of God. There's a lot of jokes like this in Family Guy where, like, it has, like, God be like a normal dude. You know, like, one of my favorite ones is, one of my favorite Family Guy jokes is in the Jesus episode, and he was saying that his dad quit smoking, and it cuts to God like in heaven, and he's like digging through a drawer, and he's like, "Where's my checkbook?" And he goes, "Why is there a pen cap and no pen?" And that's funny because it's God doing a thing that like is our frustrations. And like, the idea of that joke and why that joke is meaningful is that oftentimes human beings personify God, you know, or like the universe or whatever, as a thing that is alive, that has, you know, is able to make conscious choices and do this. Like, that's what the visualization of God is. That's what the belief is a living embodiment of the universe itself. Or a creator of the universe, you know, it depends. There's a million different interpretations. So when Family Guy takes that, where it's so much larger than us and so much bigger than us, and it has God just be someone who is mad about he can't find his checkbook, it actually, the reason that joke resonates with us is that it sometimes makes us feel like better about ourselves if you actually take the concept of God down a peg and have God be a normal person. And that's kind of actually what this God fart joke means is, you know, it's a way of saying you are not that important, you know, like like, you know, like the traditional like creation stories are very elegant. You know, God said, "Let there be light." And when Family Guy does it the other way, and they say that God was arm wrestling with his roommate Jeff, I think that was his name, and he farts the universe into existence, it's a way of taking the concept of the universe and just dialing back the seriousness of existence. And that's kind of the point of comedy. It's kind of the essence of comedy. And that's what a joke like this really means. And when you do nothing more than just recap that joke, you lose all of that. Like, just like think like how much of an opportunity, like imagine my version of this video, Family Guy, how Family Guy analyzes religion, a video I would probably do one day. And actually would probably be a great video for me to cover. Because I think I'm very good at covering, certain religious subjects. I think I'm very good at discussing it because I like to look at it in terms of the story of what it means to people and all that stuff, rather than the simple, like, you know, trying to like debunk, is this real or not real or whatever, which is fine when people do that. Like there's people who are very good scholars of the subject in that field, but I like to look at it from a media standpoint, what it actually means to people within our material reality, rather than saying, is it real or not, is not really of my concern. The stories are things that people share and have effect on us, and that's what I care about discussing. So this video got 664,000 views. So 664,000 people clicked on this video, or 664,000 clicks were on this video. Maybe some of them were the same people. That generally means probably about 100,000, let's say ballparking it, about 100,000 human beings watch the entirety of this video. So let's say at the same time that this video was posted, I posted what my version of this video would be. And this video got no views, and my version of that video, everyone who watched this video watched mine instead. Do you maybe think that that would lead to a little bit more of a better world if the amount of people watched a version of this video where the explanation of the God fart joke was the thing that I just said, rather than just saying, the God fart joke? You know, I just think that's an important thing to think about. And that's why I cover this stuff, is because I want to ask those questions. It will always make me laugh how Jackson can take any scene or moment and analyze it in a meaningful way that makes sense, followed immediately by AI slop not being able to extrapolate a single thing. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. That's like the essence of my channel. That's what I love to do. First off, what takeaways are people going to get from this video anyway? They're going to laugh at the jokes that the Family Guy writers wrote, and they're going to feel endeared to Alex Griffin, who stole those jokes from the Family Guy writers. That's what they are. That's what's someone is going to get out of it. As far as actual deeper discussion, unless they engage with it themselves, like they can only get discussion. The only discussion they can get from this video is insofar of the things that the video actually discusses and shows you. Like, for example, I just looked at this clip and I said all of that stuff about the God fart joke and why that's a meaningful joke. But you have to be someone who is already a scholar of that. Maybe not a scholar specifically, but someone who is able to extrapolate that stuff. And that's not the point of videos like this. The point of videos like this is to, you as the video creator are the person who is supposed to have the takes, the important stuff, and to say all of the stuff that matters. And you are supposed to give that knowledge to lay people who maybe didn't study writing, you know, for 6 years or whatever, you know? And that's kind of the point. Like I studied writing for all of these years, and me making my videos is my way of allowing people who didn't study writing for 6 years to understand the things that I understood myself. That is what I think is the social function that my videos provide. And this video provides no social function, no social good, which is why I think it shouldn't exist.
If there's a joke to be made, Family Guy's...
Why is his name on his shirt? Why is his name on his shirt? Why are the outlines on his hands thicker than the outlines on his face? Why is that? Why is that? Why all of this? Why all of this?
In the episode 3 Acts of God, Peter and the guys go on a wild road trip to find God himself.
India, the most spiritual country in the world. God is not here.
God is not here? For a country known for having 33 categories of deities, that line was a real jam. Still.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're just showing the joke and just saying what the joke is. Like, you're not really going to provide any analysis. Like, I guess you could, wait, does it just move
Aim
on?
for Family Guy. Because later, the show takes a more creative approach, suggesting that Vishnu's work goes unnoticed because...
Oh, no, yeah, it doesn't. Okay, so it just shows the joke, it doesn't comment further on it. So, like, there are things you could say about the joke. You know, you could, let's see, I'm not going to make a strong statement for or against that joke, because you could probably say it's offensive if you were to say that it's saying that India is the poor areas, like, because it's a huge country. So like you think it's just the poor area. So like in Peter coming off and seeing just the poorest area, and he says, God is not here, and he leaves, like it like puts that idea of it. But it also could be a comment on how so much of the country is poor, which is a material reality, and how sort of a general kind of like atheistic critique is that people will say is will be like, well, like if like God exists, like why does like bad things happen? So like the idea is like, oh, like, like India's supposed to be like this place where they're so spiritual in this, but like then also bad things happen. I think that's kind of what the joke is saying a little bit, that it's like if like it's not so much that it's bashing India, it's more so saying if these people are so religious, like, and they believe so much in their gods, why don't their gods help them? I guess that's kind of like the critique that the joke is trying to say. Like, these are all things that we can analyze about this joke. You get what I mean? But like, instead it's just saying, oh, this joke falls under talking about Hinduism, and I am going to repeat the joke and show it to you instead of starting that conversation. Also unrelated, but you have a good Peter Griffin impression. Oh, really? I always feel like it's bad whenever I do it. I just can't help it. Like whenever I quote Peter, I always like do like a little bit of the voice. Oh, thank you though. Appreciate it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this isn't accurate at all to India, is it? I've never been to India, so I don't actually know. I would assume like with every country on earth, there are areas that are well off and areas that are not well off. And depending on how rich the country is how much of a percentage of the country is like richer areas versus poorer areas. So like another chatter is saying something like, you could say the same thing about poor areas in America. Like there's like lots of poor areas in America where like there's lots of like evangelicals or whatever. It's like, well, why doesn't God help them or whatever? Like you can make the same joke. And it's like kind of the percentage. So like, I don't know. Usually when I see something where they say a country looks like this and they show like a dirty image, I would assume they're cherry picking a more poor area, and the way an actual country operates is always more nuanced than you would get in a Family Guy joke. Yes, I think that's pretty important to know. Do you have a theater background? Because that vocal impression was too perfect. Oh, thank you. He was like my Peter Griffin voice. Yes, I do. I grew up in theater, in musical theater. Yeah, I did theater. I was a theater major before I became a writing major. Actually, I specialized in Shakespeare. I was training to be a Shakespeare actor. So that's also how I know my like public speaking and all that stuff.
Because Jesus kind of takes credit for it.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Oh, actually, it wasn't me. It was.
No, it's okay. I'm used to it.
But Vishnu seems totally chill.
That, again, it's just explaining the joke. Like, it's so shameless. And no, that's not the joke. Wait, that's not the joke at all.
Approach, suggesting that Vishnu's work goes unnoticed because Jesus kind of takes credit for it.
Jesus takes credit for it. Wait, no, Jesus wanted to correct him. That's actually kind of a wholesome joke. I think that this is a wholesome joke. I'd say that as far as like jokes about religion goes, I always found this one cute. That Peter says, thank you, Jesus. And Jesus is about to correct him. And I think he said it was Vishnu. I hope I'm getting that correct. If that's who this is portraying. And he says, I'm used to it. I don't know. I always found that like kind of cute of a joke, like kind of this. It's a very, it's actually, it kind of lines up with a lot of how I like to view religion. I put a lot of value in diversity. Diversity is something that I care about, diversity of people. And religions are different sorts of people. And obviously one big issue with a lot of religions is the idea that like there would be only one religion. So like, like the thought of like, if Jesus exists, then Vishnu doesn't, like stuff like that, which like, I don't know. I don't really get into that. Like, it just doesn't really matter to me. If who or what does or does not exist or did not exist, it's not a thing it's just not a thing that keeps me up at night. I know it does with a lot of people, but it's never really been a thing that like mattered to me. And it's why, the fact that I'm like really, I guess to sound pompous, the fact that I'm kind of above that, that whole idea of like, oh, is X or Y like real or not real? And instead what I care about is the actual stories and the traditions and what these things means and the parts of them that are positive and the parts of them that are negative, and how, because every religion has positives and negatives, and how the negative parts should be left behind and the positive parts should be embraced. That's what I think is the important part of understanding religions. And I don't know, I think a joke like this is just kind of like, you know, I don't know. I just think the idea that the Hindu god, again, I think it's Vishnu, did something nice for Peter. I don't know. I just think it's a cute joke.
Or maybe they just didn't want to overdo it. But when
every image of this dude is different.
comes to a certain religion they never run out of material for, or one they seem to enjoy poking most, it's Christianity.
I like you and have no reason not to.
I like you and have no reason not to.
Family Guy has come after Christianity so
Oh, wait. Look at that. This was so edited afterwards. Look at this.
Like you and have no reason not to.
I like you and have no reason not to.
Family Guy has come.
Look, see how it cut away? So that, so this joke, if you don't know what this joke is, he says, I like you, I have no reason not to. And the other guy walks in, he says, did you hear about that magic baby who was born in Bethlehem? And they all start stabbing each other. The joke is that there was a lot of violence because of the existence of Christianity. They cut, look at how it cuts here.
I like you and have no reason not to.
I like you and have no reason not to.
Family Guy.
Okay, so they either got copyrighted and they needed to cut it off, because that makes no sense without the ending there. Like it's literally just two guys in old-timey garb saying I like you. Like that makes no sense out of context. Either was because they got copyrighted or because it's really violent. It's a really violent scene when they stab each, and it goes on for a long time. Like it's kind of hard to watch, to be honest. I would say that depending on your feelings about the joke, because generally when I talk about shock value, I think shock value has to be proportional to the message of the joke. And since the point of the joke is saying that violence occurred because of this event, you know, because of Christianity, there was violence, you know, referring to like the Crusades. Like the joke is that there were all the Crusades and all this sort of stuff, you know, that's what it's referring to. So the fact that the two guys are so pleasant and then all of a sudden they're like bloody and stabbing each other is like, I'd say that at least leaves open a discussion for the validity of the joke, as opposed to some other Family Guy shock value jokes. Like one I said in a recent video where I criticized one joke where Brian runs over a squirrel, and it's really gross the way he runs over a squirrel. And I said that like it was a pointless joke. They shouldn't have had it. It was too much shock value. And people like commented, they're like, the joke is that Brian is a dog and doesn't like squirrels. And I'm like, yeah, well, like Brian being a dog and not liking squirrels was not proportional to the shock value of the joke. Whereas with that Magic Baby one, it might be. They didn't keep it in. They either got copyrighted or it was that it was too violent. It could have been a violence thing, that maybe because the moment was so violent, it could have been like TOS, you know, for YouTube. I don't know. I don't know if a Family Guy, would something in Family Guy do that? I guess it would, because I guess there's like uncensored like nudity in Family Guy, like on the DVDs and stuff. And I guess YouTube wouldn't allow that. So I guess there could be things that could trigger TOS from Family Guy. More likely it was copyright.
Lord, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing. But let's be honest, Family Guy knows exactly what they're doing. And
Wait, hold on, man. I don't think you understand what that quote means at all.
like, Lord, forgive them, for they do not know what they're doing.
Okay, so he says, Lord, forgive them, for they not know what they're doing. If you don't know what that is referring to, what this little AI praying person is referring to, as Jesus was dying on the cross, he said that in reference to the people who killed him. Lord, forgive them, they know not what they do. So he's saying you should say, you would say that, and then he says this.
But let's be honest, Family Guy knows exactly what they're doing.
Let's be honest, Family Guy knows exactly what they're doing. I don't know. I like the point of that phrase. Like, wouldn't Family Guy not know what they're doing? Like, I don't know if is he taking a religious standpoint here, or am I overthinking this? Am I just overthinking this? Because wouldn't that apply to Family Guy too? Like, wouldn't it be like let's say hypothetically, like all of the jokes that Family Guy makes about Christianity are like bad. Like they shouldn't have made those jokes because it was I don't know, like like they shouldn't have made the jokes because it was harmful. Like let's say I don't think they are. I think that they're just jokes, but like let's say that they're actually harmful. Wouldn't the same logic apply to them, that like they know not what they do, like they were misguided, so they made all of these Christianity jokes? Like, why are you using the quote that's to the like the Romans who like tortured and killed a guy, and like saying they don't know what they do, but the Family Guy, right? So okay, so the Romans, they get off the hook. They know not what they do, but the Family Guy writers, like I just think you're really holding their feet to the fire there, Alex Griffin. Okay, all right. This is actually a really intriguing, insightful convo. I feel like there's something here, right?
This right here is Scott.
We really want to thank you, God, for testing us. It's been such a blessing.
Can't wait to see what that bigger plan is.
Well, I can't tell you that.
Yeah, it's similar to the India joke. If God is real, why doesn't he like fix things? It's a common joke. I don't think it's a bad joke. I mean, I think that the reason that jokes like that can work, and how offensive you individually find it, like that particular joke, I could see how that joke would not be everyone's cup of tea, for sure. But to look at like the existence of like why jokes like that exist is an important question to ask. And the answer to that question is not always as obvious as you would think. I don't exactly have like a really strong answer for you. There's like a whole like free will element to it, the thought of like, but I guess like it's a stronger question when it comes to like diseases and stuff, where you say like, it's tricky. It's tricky for sure. It's, but that's generally what like that joke means. Is he gonna say anything about like kind of what I just said about that, about like what that joke actually means, or they're just showing that and saying, isn't it offensive to have that joke, or isn't it shocking to have that joke? Like not saying what it's actually trying to say.
And the first place he takes him is a world that looks futuristic. Flying cars, clean streets, the works.
All right, this is a pretty strong statement, this joke. This statement is a very strong joke. Let's see if it actually has commentary on it.
But in this universe, Christianity never existed, which means the dark ages of scientific repression never occurred, and thus humanity is 1,000 years more advanced.
According to Family Guy, Christianity is the reason we don't have flying cars. Yeah, that's the take. Family Guy's made so many cutaways centered around
Okay, that's the take. So he says that he explained the joke. Anyone who saw the joke would know that's what that means. You gonna go any deeper into it? Let's see.
Christianity, each one somehow bolder and more audacious than the last. Like that one cutaway where Jesus gets into
No, you're not gonna say anything about that. There's so much you could say about that. Like literally just saying, like, why not say, like, would that be like, there's so much to discuss with that claim. Like that, like that's it's pretty unverifiable. Like the idea of how advanced or not advanced. And also Stewie said Christianity. He doesn't say religion as a whole. Cause like there could be a thought where it's like, well, like if we like had no, like if we had like no religion, we're like only like scientific based or like didn't fight each other. There's definitely thoughts to that, but Stewie specifically said Christianity. So you do have to kind of think like, but he also did say the dark ages didn't happen. Like there is so much to discuss with this joke of like, is it accurate? Is it this? And also it's like, it is also a jab. Like it is also saying like, and I think another element to this joke too is it's not even so much about Christianity that it's jabbing. I think that what this joke actually says, and why I think I would defend the existence of this joke and why I think it's a funny joke, is it is shining a light on how people who are generally associated with religions can be very regressive. They can stifle progress. This is why a lot of religious people are conservatives. Like there's a lot of, or not why, this is the fact that, not that's why, the fact that a lot of religious people are also conservatives is why we have this perception. And that is the fault of certain religious people. Not all religious people. There could be plenty of religious people who are very scientifically minded, who are very open-minded, even historically, even like some of the ideas of like, I guess the big one is like the existence of the calendar and the mapping out of, time and all that sort of stuff is because of like there was the priests were very learned, and that's why the current year goes from the 2000 years from I guess stated to be the birth of Christ. It's not, I don't know if it's historically confirmed if that actually is the year 0 or if it even would exactly be. I don't know all the details, but that's why we generally think of 2026 years from the birth of Christ is usually what we think of, and that's why. But it is kind of a jab at that sort of like regressive thinking that is in line with conservatism, so it's not really so much like, I think if you are a Christian, I think that you could still appreciate this joke and what it's trying to say if you look at this joke in the sense of it's criticizing the regressive tendencies of religious people, which is why I would think that even if Christianity never existed, there probably still would have been some version of the Dark Ages or this or that. Like, just getting rid of Christianity would not immediately make you have flying cars and this and that. But see how the existence of this joke can get you to think about that, and like, that's kind of why I think a joke like this can have social value. What doesn't have social value? Just stating that joke exists and not elaborating on it. I mean, what would they say about if religion in general never existed? It's really tough to say. I guess my take on that is that there really wouldn't realistically, like, I don't think realistically people would not form religions if you give people a confusing world and no way to properly know the answer to how that confusing world came to be. I don't think there's really a scenario where they wouldn't come up with stories, because that's really all that religion is stories. It's stories, unless, like, I know people believe that it actually exists, but, and like, that's fine if you do, like, that's totally fine. But like, it is important you can find that balance. If you're someone who's actually faithful in a very specific religion and specific deity, that's great. I think that you don't have to give that up in order to look at the existence of religion as stories, as like ways that we develop the same way that we develop even, like an episode of Family Guy, like things like that. Like, we are trying to find truth in our world. We're trying to find truth in morality. That's why so many religious stories are about morals. The idea of saying something like, go with an easy one, thou shalt not kill. You have thou shalt not kill. And it's a way of us looking at the world and understanding that killing people is wrong. And by having God say thou shalt not kill and having all of these different biblical stories that show people getting killed, that show, you have Abraham doesn't sacrifice Isaac. That is a statement, historically, the existence of the story of Abraham sacrificing Isaac. And I know there's people who believe that really happened. And like, you can't really confirm nor deny that. Let's say, whether it did, whether it didn't, doesn't matter. That story, the existence of that story, is about making the statement of, hey, we should not kill people to sacrifice them to a deity. That is the point of that story. And in telling it as a story, in creating this character of Abraham, or speaking of this character of Abraham, let's say you think he really existed. You're still speaking of him. You can still say he's a character. You could say that George Washington is a character in the story of America. It doesn't necessarily mean or does not mean the person existed, but you take the person and you say, this person did this. He had a son. It was very hard for him to come by this son. And he loved this son very much, and he was going to kill this son, and he was stopped to kill this son. And he would have lost this son if it weren't for what was right. And in the story, what was right is what God said, which is don't kill your children and sacrifice them to anything, is what is right, what is correct, what is just. Now you can look at that if you look at that from a media, it is not lost on me that I am saying all of this and Stewie and Brian from Family Guy are on the screen. Anyway, where was I? I'll put it this way. Whether or not God really said it or whether or not it's just true, it's just right, it doesn't matter. Both of those things can be true. Both of those things can be true. And the one of those things that we can't prove, which is the God part, we can't prove the God part. God is unfalsifiable. But we can prove that it's right to not kill people. We can prove that it's right because of our understanding of social good and all that sort of stuff. That's not how Bible school made it sound. That's probably because a lot of Bible schools are trying to indoctrinate you, unfortunately. And then all right, so now I've given the positive element. Now I have to talk about the negative element. You can also do this with bad stuff. We talked a bit with SpongeTruths. The most common contemporary problem, at least in America, with religions is homophobia and transphobia. Those are and sexism is a big part of it. But I would say that those are the things that stand out to me the most as the problems with religion and why a lot of people are averse to religion is because they are known for those things. And that is in a way doing a lot of the same thing. The major difference is like how I said with the story of God and Abraham and Isaac is there are two things of God says it's wrong to kill people. It is wrong to kill people inherently. Both of those things could be true. One of those things definitely is true, and one of those things we can't prove is true. We can't prove the existence of God, but we can prove that it's wrong to kill people. When you tell that same story and say that God doesn't like gay people, which isn't it funny that there isn't actually a story about that? I just said the whole thing about not killing people. I had a story about Abraham and Isaac, a father who loved his son. He had trouble conceiving a son. He had trouble having a son. He loved his son, all this sort of stuff. When it comes to the Bible saying things about that's anti-gay, it's it just is a line that just says out of context, don't be gay. It's weird. And it's actually not weird. There's a reason for that. It's because a story about not if you had a story in the Bible where it was two guys who were in love and the story ended with them not being together because God said so, I feel like God wouldn't really come off too good in that story. I don't think he would really come off as such a swell fella. So this is kind of an indication of that particular religious belief is incorrect. Again, you can't prove that God is really, can't prove that God does not like gay people. Although I could refute it that the God as described, a good God would not hate gay people because then he wouldn't be good because it's wrong to hate gay people. So that's my refutation. So you need both things. You need to be able to look at the people around you and be able to see from a secular perspective that something is right. And then also the religious element, the religious stories is a way of telling that story. Do you see how much I just got out of that joke? And let's look again after all that stuff I just said, what Alex Griffin said.
According to Family Guy, Christianity is the reason we don't have flying cars. Yeah, that's the take. Family Guy's made so many cutaways.
That's it. According to Family Guy, Christianity is the reason we don't have flying cars. That's the take. That is what he said. I just talked for 10 minutes. But how does killing an animal help or benefit anyone or anything? I just don't get it. Why sacrifice? Yeah, sacrifice is stupid. No one should. You shouldn't do it with animals either. I know. Again, I don't think that the Bible, especially the Old Testament, I don't think it's perfect or nothing. Though in that time period, so here's the thing about people who lived in like 2000 BC. People were nuts, man. Like people were crazy. So like you're in this time period, you know, it's basically a compromise, to be honest. Like I think if you lived in that time period and you were able to like sell people on the idea that a deity does not want you to kill people when there were people out there killing people for their gods, you know, like that was a thing. And if you got them down to a sheep from people, that's a big leap. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying you should kill any animal to try and sacrifice it. I think that's wrong. I think that's wasteful of any life. I think that's messed up for sure. You know, you barter them down to that. I think that's pretty boss. All right. I think that like, you know, I won't defend everything in the Old Testament, but that Abraham story saved a lot of people's lives. I think that is a fact. You know, it saved a lot of people's lives from other crazy religious thinking. So if that crazy religious thinking didn't exist in the first place, you know, so it's a big conversation.
Hey, Dad, it's me.
If it had ended there, it would have just been funny and honestly maybe even clever.
And honestly,
but Family Guy doesn't do tame. They always have to take it a step too far.
But I don't know if now is the best time. Maybe next year, okay? So where were we?
Right about here.
That one riled up a lot of Christians, but that was just young Jesus. Family Guy also had their own take on.
Wait, that was I think they had to cut it. Oh, come on. I love the end of that joke. Come on, baby. It's my birthday. Come on. Did like people specifically, I mean, I guess people would not like that joke. Again, this joke is, it's the same as I explained it earlier with God and the pen cap, like just humanizing God, taking God down a peg and saying that God, like humanizing God as like just a regular like dude. I think a reason that a joke like this resonates with people, especially this one where it's God literally telling Jesus that he can't come live with him when he'd rather live with him. Like structurally, it's a very solid joke. You got to give it credit for that at least. But the reason that this joke resonates with people is that because of the whole idea of like, you know, like God and this, you know, father of the universe, sometimes people feel very down on their luck in their own life and they feel like the universe is ignoring them the same way that God is ignoring Jesus to, you know, pester this woman to, you know, not use protection and all that sort of stuff. Like sometimes we feel like that. All right. Sometimes people feel like that in life, that God is not answering the phone because he's trying to have unprotected sex with a woman who won't let him, even though it's his birthday. All right. People do feel like that. To deny that people feel like that sometimes in their life. The most pious men who ever lived, all right? Every saint who ever lived has felt that way at some point in their life, all right? All right? And they'd be honest about it. The saints would be honest about it. You know, they'd say, you know, it wasn't good to feel that way. I needed to have my faith. I needed this or that, you know, or whatever. But that is a part of the human experience to feel that way.
No wonder the FCC's had to deal with multiple complaints about them. Sometimes, though, they nail it.
No wonder the FCC, holy pro-censorship. No wonder the FCC has had to deal with multiple complaints about that. I don't think the FCC should have any complaints about that at all. Or I don't think anyone in any position of power should take any complaints about that seriously because of the First Amendment. Like, I don't know. Like, I think that that's a silly thing to say. No wonder the FCC had so many complaints. Like, yeah. Thought this was America.
Like that ancient Roman intern.
This is Marcus. Today's his first day. He's going to be crucifying you now.
Okay, but that's more of a joke about like it being awkward when it's an intern's first day. That's not really a religious joke. It's just using a recognizable, you know, religious event to exaggerate the awkwardness of it being someone's first day. So this isn't even a religious joke.
He might want to use his hammer.
Okay, but just because Jesus is in the joke doesn't mean that it's like this isn't a commentary on religion at all. And I think that that's an important difference to discuss.
Family Guy knew this episode would spark outrage, so they opened with a disclaimer to make it seem funny.
Please write to this address, quickly. Maybe we can both stop these Hollywood Jew writers from wrecking my marriage and your religion.
In this one, Jesus...
Wait, hold on. Did you think Peter was being serious there? Wait, this is so funny.
Then there's the 2,000-year-old virgin. Family Guy knew this episode would spark outrage.
Family Guy knew this episode would spark outrage.
So they opened with a disclaimer to make it seem funny.
So they opened with a disclaimer to make it seem funny. And then this is the line.
Maybe we can both stop these Hollywood Jew writers from wrecking my marriage and your religion.
Dude, the joke is that the people who would be offended by this episode to the point where they would write in are the same people who would have anti-Semitic beliefs about why those jokes are made in the first place. That's the point of this joke. It's not a disclaimer to try. He thinks that Peter's serious.
But along the way, they realize Jesus is still a virgin, and they take it upon themselves to help him lose it. And every time I say that sentence out loud, it feels like the wrongest set of words to come out of my mouth. They take him...
It's okay. It's so pearl clutchy, right? It's so pearl clutchy. Like, it's not that crazy of an episode plot. Like, I think it's pretty clever, but like, I don't know, acting like it's some kind of like, ooh, this. Again, that's like a commentary on the story. A commentary on the story of Jesus is like, the idea is that he was never with anyone throughout his life, like it's not ever stated that he was, there's a whole like, they even make it in the Mary Magdalene, they make the joke about it in the episode where he's like, oh yeah, there's like, yeah, they make a joke about it in the episode, but like, that is like kind of a known thing about Jesus is that he was never with anyone as far as the story goes. Just taking that idea to an extreme of saying, what if he's in the modern day? And what if he was in love with your wife? Like I think that's a decent idea for a story.
Jesus walks out of there with more rejection than Meg at prom.
How's the wine?
Oh, that's such an AI joke. He walks out of there with more rejection than Meg at prom. Wow. This is what all jokes will be in the future, is just taking Family Guy episodes too seriously. It's going to be all comedy one day.
Hey, with someone who wanders the desert lecturing people on how to act?
So, are you having a good Friday?
Oh, is that supposed to be funny? Shut your mouth, bitch.
So where do you live?
Everywhere.
They're just doing all of the jokes here. Dude, if you think it's so offensive, why are you showing all of the jokes?
All places. Hopefully inside you.
The Good Friday gag was funny.
Wait, the Good Friday gag was funny?
Friday?
Oh, is that supposed to be funny? Shut your mouth, bitch.
Wait, wait, you think that the whole premise of the episode is offensive, but you think the part where Jesus calls a woman a bitch is funny? I mean, I think it's funny, but I'm consistent. I think the whole episode is funny. So I can think that's funny. But if I thought the episode was offensive, I'm pretty sure I would think that that's offensive too. It's funny because Jesus puts her in her place. Oh, you're so right. I forgot that people. Yeah, I'm being too charitable. No, it's okay. I like being charitable to religious people. I like to take people at their word and think that if you're someone who is religious to the point where you wouldn't really care for this episode, if it's not to your taste, and if this episode's not to your taste, like that's fine. If you're like, yeah, like if you're someone who's like, I think that, the figure of Jesus Christ is really important to me, so I just skip this Family Guy episode. It's not for me. More power to you. Like, like if that doesn't do it for you, like that's super fine. That's how you feel. But yeah, that's such a good point that it would like that joke because it's putting a woman down. Wow. Because like to me, I would think that a person who is consistent and religious would think that, Jesus speaking that way to anyone, not just to a woman, Jesus speaking. I mean, I guess he was pretty tough on people. He called like the Pharisees, like hypocrites or whatever. So like Jesus wasn't always like super nice to everyone. I don't think he would call a woman a bitch. I don't think that's exactly it's funny in the Family Guy episode, but I don't think that's exactly in character.
Especially the bit about Jesus wandering around telling people how to live their lives. That one cut deep for a lot of Christian viewers.
Oh, don't be a baby. Don't be a baby. Cut deep for a lot of Christian viewers. Just say it's not to your taste. That's fine. If it's not cut deep, like, wait, it didn't say like, hold on. I feel like there's no way they watched this episode. There's no way they watched this episode. How do you not, the end of this episode, I would say, I'm surprised it didn't bring it up, but at the end of this episode, Jesus literally just says, like, offhandedly, he goes, I'm not even real. Like, that's at the end of the episode. Jesus just says, whatever, I'm not even real, and he leaves. That's the, like, wouldn't that be, like, the most offensive part, is the part where they had Jesus himself say, I'm not real? Like, I think that, I mean, I don't know. I mean, again, I don't think any of it's offensive. I think I think it's just that the person who wrote the joke is an atheist who personally doesn't believe that, personally didn't believe that he was real. Like, I think that that's just kind of the whole joke of it. But I'm surprised that they wouldn't mention that. Yes, Jesus isn't white. I know. Yeah, he's white in Family Guy. He's actually not in modern Family Guy. There is a Jesus cutaway in the most recent season, and they make him brown now. Like the whole, like, I mean, obviously Jesus was never white. Like, like the historical Jesus would not have been white. Like the person who lived in that time period in that area would not have been white. But like the understanding of Jesus as not being white. When did this episode air? It's a newer episode, but it aired not too long ago. I don't think Jesus was very understood in pop culture as being not white. Like, it's kind of a new thing where we kind of acknowledge a lot now of like, yeah, like he wasn't white, It was Renaissance art. Renaissance art is why Jesus is often portrayed as white. It's just because in that time period when Da Vinci and all of them were painting their, Last Supper paintings, the target audience for those paintings, to see it, were people who the painting itself probably wouldn't have read to them as well if the image of Jesus didn't look like them. I'm not saying that's good. I'm just saying that's the reason why. And nowadays we have a little bit more of an acknowledgement. So that's probably why Family Guy has since kind of changed it when they do like Jesus cutaways, is because now we're a little more like, yeah, like he wasn't white, like we know. But back then it wasn't really a part of discourse that much. The whole like Jesus wasn't white thing probably wasn't a big part of the cultural discussion as it is now. Like to the fact that it's even brought up just in the chat offhandedly. Like it's just a very common thing to point out now. And it kind of wasn't at the time. And I think it's good that we pointed out because it's good to portray people accurately as how they actually look. Doesn't God have the exact same voice as Carter Peterschmidt? Yeah, it's Seth MacFarlane doing his like old man voice. He's only got a couple of voices. They're all great voices, but he's only got, I mean, how many voices can one person do, I guess some of those Simpsons voice actors are really versatile. What has Seth MacFarlane got? He's got the Peter, the Stewie, the Quagmire, the Carter. Am I missing any? Brian, that's just his normal voice. Like Roger is just Peter, but pitched up. Stan is just Brian, but more like serious sounding. Are those the only ones? Peter, Brian, Stewie, Carter, Quagmire. I'd say those are basically the five.
You can do this, Peter. You loved your family.
Dad, can you crack your window a little bit?
I hate you all so much!
Realizing he messed up, Peter
That
decides
was not a religion joke. I don't know why you even put that in there.
I should never have questioned you. You were right about everything.
Say that again.
because Peter apologizes, God decides to spare him and tells him he finally understands the point. And that point being,
It's not about being good or bad. It's just blind subservience to an imaginary being.
yeah, that's what Family Guy had God say. And let's just say
Are you actually going to put this face to that? I'm sorry. Look. And again, I'm super nice to the concept of religion. I'm like, I think I've proven that, but like,
It's not about being good or bad. It's just blind subservience to an imaginary being.
yeah, that's what
nah, if you're going to be if you are indignant to that being a problem in the world, you are willingly sticking your head in the sand. You can believe that the being is not imaginary or this or that, but like the blind subservience to just someone telling you something is true, you cannot act like that's not a problem. Don't give me this AI generated face, Alex Griffin. Don't act like that's not a real problem in the world. Okay?
Family Guy had God say. And let's just say Christians did not find that amusing. Kind of like that one
What Christians did not I mean, I'm sure they didn't, but like they're wrong. Okay, if someone, I guess you don't have to find it funny, but like if you refute that, like I would like to hear your argument of like how you would refute that phrase. I'm sorry, a reasonable person really cannot argue that people having blind subservience to, and by an imaginary being meaning, so like let's say like you think like God is real, but like you don't think he hates gay people. That means that the God that hates gay people is an imaginary being. You know, like I would say, I think that the God who hates gay people is an imaginary being. I think it doesn't exist. I reject its existence. I don't say that like, you know, because what I say about like regular God, like loving God, I would say unfalsifiable. It's unfalsifiable. I think that a hateful God who hates gay people, I think that that is falsifiable. I would say that doesn't exist. So I agree with that joke because there are people who have blind subservience to an imaginary being. And those are the people who are homophobic, or people who have blind subservience to an imaginary being. That is the problem that is being stated. So,
being.
Yeah, that's
so don't give me that face, all right?
what Family Guy had God say. And let's just say Christians did not find that amusing.
I don't find it amusing when people hate people based on made up stuff. So I guess the Christians and I are going to have to agree to disagree on that one. Any good Christian would not disagree with me on that. Any real Christian, anyone who's actually consistent with it. I'll say real Christian. I'll say you're not a real Christian if you hate gay people. And yeah, that is most of them. I don't care that it's most of them, but I'd gladly gatekeep that.
What's that kind of talk or you'll get your heathen head smacked?
Well, that's very Christian. Believe what I say or I'll hurt you.
Now you're getting it.
Now, it might seem like Family Guy.
Yeah? Wait, are you saying that doesn't happen? A religious person could look at that and say, yeah, like this is not an anti-religion joke. You know, like this is an a person who is religious threatening to hurt someone if they don't agree with them, which is a thing that happens all the time, especially from a fatherly role. I know Brian's not his son, but like he's Peter's father. So it's showing like this father says, believe what I believe or I'll hurt you. That's a thing that happens all the time.
Now you're getting it.
No,
wait, isn't that a pro-Christian joke? Saying like Brian is saying you're not a real Christian if you hurt people. He's saying that people who are Christians who don't threaten to hurt people are being real Christians. That's being very charitable to Christianity the way that I am.
It seemed like Family Guy targets Christianity more than any other religion. What am I kidding?
They're not okay, wait, that's a weird claim. Of course they do, because Christianity is the dominant religion in the country that Family Guy is made in. So yeah, it's not like some kind of like specific targeting. It's just more people are going to relate to jokes about Christianity in Family Guy's target audience. Even people who, and like the difference is because Christianity is the dominant religion in the sense that more people are Christian than any other group, just by sheer numbers, that through cultural osmosis, even people who aren't Christian are going to get certain jokes. Whereas, you know, other ones, like they'll make jokes about other religions and stuff, but it wouldn't be as common. Like, I'm sorry, should there be an equal amount of jokes about religions that are not as prevalent? Like, that's just silly. That's just not good business. If you're writing comedy jokes for a comedy, they can only make so many episodes. They're going to have a larger amount of jokes about something that more people are going to understand. That's just how numbers work.
Catholicism, Protestantism, Baptist.
Catholicism. You know what's funny? I don't think it's an AI voice until that. Catholic. I don't care if it's an AI voice. I'm so past that. I'm so much more here for the discussion of. I'm much more here for just the discussion of how religion is portrayed in Family Guy. That's what I'm into with this. That's what this is. This is what this is about for me. I don't care about AI anymore. I'm done. I've had enough of it. I bought a new computer today. I spent $900 on RAM. All right. I hate AI. I don't want to think about AI right now. I like this conversation. All right.
Catholics believe that as long as you accept Jesus before you die, anyone can get into heaven. Really? Anyone?
I accept Jesus as my Lord and
All right. They're just stealing jokes at this point.
Savior. Yes.
What's wrong with that joke? It doesn't even comment on it. They take someone who's really evil and it's just questioning that claim. It's just a way of communicating, asking a question, you know, like, and you could refute that, obviously. Like, I'm sure.
I accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior.
Like, I'm sure if you asked a person who is like, knowledge. If you asked a Catholic priest to explain, to debunk this joke, they could, and actually I know how they would. Well, maybe I don't. I don't want to speak for what a Catholic priest would actually say. I don't actually know for sure. So I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I would think from my knowledge that the way you would refute this joke is you would say that, Bin Laden here, he didn't repent for his wrongdoings, for his crimes, for the people he hurt, because that's a part of like accepting, like Christ or whatever. But like the joke still works. Like it's fine. Like the joke still works, man. And it does criticize an actual attitude. Like there are attitudes like that where people can be very toxic and they can say, yeah, all you have to do is accept this, and then that's fine. And that can be a toxic attitude. Whereas, and I don't think an average Catholic would agree with that. I think would agree with the toxic part of it. I think they would say something like, yeah, like obviously that wouldn't work with Bin Laden here. He would have to actually repent for the things that he did. I think that would be their logic on it. But like, see how it gives us to have a conversation about it, instead of just stealing the joke and showing it.
Yes! Like that one time, they showcased the Pope as a weak and really old man.
It's a time to get up and put on your hat. It's a stupid hat.
Come on. I'm surprised that it's so like pearl clutchy. Cause like, think about it. Like, isn't the point of this video, like, wouldn't the target audience of this video be people who find these jokes funny? Like, if you think that these jokes are so offensive, why are you showing all of them? You know what I mean? Like, it's weird. Like, it's not like when, I guess No Villains Are Safe kind of did that too, where they were like, modern Peter is a menace. And then they'd show jokes. They'd be like, why are you showing the jokes? I thought you don't like these jokes. I thought you think that this isn't funny. Like, you're showing the joke. You're making me laugh. Also, like, again, like this joke is not, it's not offensive. Like the joke is, look at this watermark from wherever they pirated this from. You know what it probably is? I bet it's that you ask AI to write you the script, and then AI writes you the script where it says this joke is offensive, and then the editor chooses to put the footage in after that. Like, it's not like, because when we think of AI, we think of it doing everything. It's like, oh yeah, like AI, make me a video, and it makes the whole video. But that doesn't actually happen because AI can't edit. AI doesn't edit. An editor has to edit. So all of these jokes that are put in are the editor putting it in. The way that this channel works is it puts a bunch of jokes in that were already made, from the show. And then from there, it just steals them. I think that's probably how it works. So I think it's just a disconnect between the original AI script is ChatGPT, write me a script about offensive religious jokes and Family Guy, and it says that they're offensive, and then they put in the edits there because they don't actually believe anything, the people behind the channel. They need to put the clips in. That's what keeps people watching.
A weak and really old man.
It's a time to get up and put on your hat.
As a weak and really old man. Was the Pope at the what Pope is this supposed to be? Is this supposed to be John Paul II? I mean, I guess, a lot of popes are old. I don't think that was the joke at all, though. It wasn't that he was weak and old. The joke was that he was acting childish. So this is so one of the important things that comedy does, one of the important social functions of comedy is that it deconstructs power. And a joke like this is socially important because it shows the Pope, and we think of the Pope as a larger than life figure, someone with a lot of power, someone who's, so the idea of showing the Pope being like, I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to wear my Pope hat. It's a stupid hat. Like, the point of a joke like this is to remind us that even the Pope is human like you. It's a very equalizing kind of joke, which is something that I think is actually almost kind of Christian in a way, because kind of the point of Christianity is that all humans are equal, all human beings are the same. We're all sinners. We're all this, like the Pope is not supposed to be perfect. The Pope could get mad. Like, the Pope is human, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a joke about that where it's like, let's take this powerful figure like the Pope, and he's like, oh, I don't want to wear the hat or whatever. Like,
biggest way Family Guy comes at Catholicism is through Peter's father.
Catholicism.
Francis. He's a die-hard Catholic, but one whose devotion is turned up to the absolute extreme, or maybe that's just Family Guy using him.
Francis Griffin is in like 4 episodes. He's not in a lot of episodes when he dies. I want to actually know. Francis Griffin is in Holy Crap, Father, Son, and the Fonz, and Peter's Two Dads, where he dies. He's in 3 episodes. He's in 3 episodes, like as a prominent character. Mentioned, like he's like a ghost, you know, every so often. Like there's the going over AI tells, aren't I? This is an AI tell because it's acting like Francis Griffin is the father of Peter Griffin. He's the father of the main character. So he must be a big character who said, oh, he represents the religion. He's only in 3 episodes. Like not every main character's father is actually that prominent in a show, especially when they kill him off in season 5. They killed him off in season 5. Wow, he's really not in a lot of episodes, even for being killed off in season 5. They did not use him a lot. But see how it acts like he's like a bigger character who represents this thing. Because that's what an AI would think. Oh, main character's father, he's the character who represents this, blah, 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 blah.
Most of the time, when Family Guy cracks Jewish jokes, it's less about the religion itself and more about cultural stereotypes.
I guess it would kind of have to say that because it's a way of like segueing it, but that is actually something that I didn't really think about is that it is true that well, I guess there were jokes about how like Christians act as people too. But yeah, that is true that in Family Guy, the Jewish jokes are much more about cultural stereotypes rather than a commentary on the religion. Wait, but wouldn't some Christian joke, wouldn't it overlap though? I think you're kind of missing the point. I mean, I guess it's focusing on Jesus jokes, but I guess if you had an Old Testament joke, wouldn't like the general God jokes too, like the one where it's like God has a plan for everyone? There's a lot of overlap. So like a religious joke would kind of just overlap. Whereas, yeah, I guess that might be why.
I think your whole religion is a sham just so you can get extra holidays off from work.
Oh, gotta go. It's buchwach.
Then came Family Guy.
Okay, that's just, I don't know. That's a pretty standard. I guess the joke there is that if you're someone who's not in that faith, you wouldn't know what the holidays are, and then all of a sudden there's holidays happening. Guess that's really all the joke is that there's holidays that a lot of people aren't that familiar with.
And that's where things go from weird to straight up anti-Semitic.
Huh? What the hell?
How do you like it? Huh? How do you like it?
Peter, what in God's name is this?
Okay, but that wasn't even the craziest part.
I don't like that it's throwing around like anti-Semitic because I think the point is that Peter's supposed to be wrong. So like this is the problem with taking characters too seriously, is that you're not actually discussing the point of the episode, because the thesis of this episode, the lesson of the episode, is that all religions are the same. It doesn't really matter. Yes, the character is being anti-Semitic. That's the point. You have to show the character being, there's episodes where Peter is racist. There's episodes where Peter is a bad father, where Peter does bad things. And the reason that Peter is those bad things is so that the episode can show you that he learns that he's wrong in the end. So when you throw that around, and by the way, there are times in Family Guy where you could point out like, I don't think there's really anything too bad here. I don't know. I guess if someone really dive deep, like, there could be a joke where the joke itself is racist, is anti-Semitic, is anti-religion, is hurtful, is bigoted, is all those sorts of bad things that a joke could be. But a joke can only be those things if the point of the joke is that it's endorsing those bad attitudes, not that the joke shows a character being those things. Because if a joke just shows a character being those things, it's just showing a reality of a kind of person. And you can't comment on reality without showing it. You have to show the reality.
Wait a minute. Are these pieces of Stewie's crib?
I hate it here.
Just before we could get...
That was just you stealing the joke. The joke had nothing to do with religion.
It was actually a surprisingly balanced ending for Family Guy, though even Jesus had to draw the line somewhere.
And if I'm not mistaken, Islam is also in that same spiritual family.
Let's not muddy things up here.
But that joke is meant to be... That joke... Again, it's like portraying that... So look what it says.
It was actually a surprisingly balanced ending for Family Guy, though Even Jesus had to draw the line somewhere.
And if I'm not mistaken,
Okay, even Jesus had to draw the line somewhere, so...
Islam is also in that same spiritual family.
Let's not muddy things up here.
That's interesting.
Okay, so obviously the joke there is that Brian is supposed to be right in that, like, the joke is... Because the point, again, the point of that episode is that religions are the same, that they have the same... And that is something that I believe in, as I said earlier, not like believe in, like, because I don't really specifically say, oh, a certain deity does or does not exist, but it's that we should accept people as their, you know, beliefs, provided that those beliefs don't hurt people, obviously. Brian in that scene is supposed to be right in saying, you know, like what Jesus is saying is, you know, oh yeah, Judaism and Catholicism and all, you know, Christianity in general, he said Catholicism, but Christianity in general have a lot of the same traditions. And they're really not that different. And Brian says, yeah, Islam isn't that different either. And Jesus goes, and the reason for that is that Jesus is supposed to be wrong. And the joke is that being Islamophobic is much more common than being, at least in America, is a lot more common than being anti those other religions. I think. I actually don't know the numbers, so I'm not going to say specifically that I do or do not know, but that it's like really common to be flippantly Islamophobic like that, to the point where they had Jesus be Islamophobic is what's supposed to ride that home. So Alex Griffin is almost portraying that, like, yeah, they were like being really respectful to Catholics and Jewish people, but then they were mean to and it's like, no, they were being positive about all three groups. They were saying that all three groups are valid and worth understanding and worth respecting. That's what they were saying with that joke. That's what that joke means.
Family Guy has many jokes centered around Arabs and Islamophobia, but not so much on the actual religion.
It said the same observation about the Judaism one, or Judaism, or whatever, however it said it wrong. And I think the reason for that is probably that people are, at least the target audience of Family Guy, would be very unfamiliar with references to Islamic stories. I think that's probably just the cultural reason for it. Not to say that that's good, but like, you know, like if you have a cutaway and it's a Bible story, you know, if you have a cutaway to something in the Bible, the target audience of Family Guy is going to mostly generally know that. Whereas if it was like a story from the like Quran, it would not be as culturally immediately recognized, is probably why that happens. Is it going to discuss that? No, it's just going to make that statement with nothing else, but yeah. 664,000 views of just it recapping jokes. Yeah, this channel's basically just no villains are safe with less production value. All right, I should probably rest my voice. I've been talking for 3 hours straight. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.